Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Make Things Club. My name is Sarah, I'm the host of this podcast, and I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada with my fiance and my two cats. It's been a solid 3 weeks since I've put out another episode, and it's been a busy 3 weeks. Yeah, let's just say that. For those of you who are new to the podcast, thank you so much for coming and joining me and checking me out. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for sticking around and continuing to check in with me on my ridiculous life with my ridiculous cats and my lovely, lovely man friend. So, for those of you that aren't sure where to find me online, I am mostly active on Instagram, so if you wanted to follow along with my life and nitty adventures, you can find me as Loose Pages on Instagram. I also am on Twitter, but I don't really post a lot of original content. I like to retweet people and just read stuff. Twitter has kind of sucked for the last few weeks, though, because it's not a fun place anymore. Not that it was ever fun. Twitter has its downfalls for damn sure. But yeah, it just hasn't been as fun lately. Too many things going on in the world. I'm also on Ravelry, and you can find me there as Romperlust. Yeah, I don't really know where else I am on the internet that matters to anybody. So Instagram is the most regular place that I post, so you can follow me there. I just wanted to say a quick shout out to everybody who has been subscribing lately. There's been a huge bump up. I actually passed 500 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. That's so exciting. As I last looked, I was actually at 548, so I'm almost up to 600. Let me just do a quick plan, I guess. I do want to do a subscriber giveaway. I have not had the mental capacity to think of anything creative or generally any kind of things to give out right now. So once I deal with this, I would really like to have a subscriber giveaway, and I will put together something for you guys soon, so look out for that. I know this is the second time in a row that I've said something like this, but November is not a fun month. It's kind of a thumbs down month, just like October was, so we're just trying to get through it, and I promise I'll have something for you guys to show my appreciation soon. Another thing that I wanted to, I actually wrote notes this time. Another thing that I wanted to say was thank you for everyone who signed up on my holiday card swap. The names were drawn on November 11th, which was Remembrance Day here in Canada. So you should have your partners. You should have already connected with your partners. And keep in mind when postage usually arrives places, and try and plan accordingly for sending your card. I still haven't sent mine yet, but luckily she's in Canada, so I don't have to worry too much about international shipping. So I plan to do all of that this week. Yeah, so since the last time I podcast, 3 weeks ago would have been the week before Halloween, I believe. Don't quote me on that, though. A couple days after my last episode came out, Ross, who's my fiance, who was applying to be an astronaut with the Canadian Space Agency, got his letter that he would not be continuing in that competition. So, yeah, that was, sad to say, a little bit of relief for me and a little bit of like sadness for him, and he's doing really well, and life has been weird since then. Like, I don't know, talking about buying a house, talking about like settling down a bit, and that's really strange considering that for the last 6 years of our relationship it was all about becoming an astronaut, and now I think it's more talking about kids, talking about getting married, talking about like finding a place to just actually like start setting some roots, and that's been kind of exciting. But it was so eloquently put by my future mother-in-law while they were on the phone one day. So if there's gonna be no astronaut shit happening next year, so are you guys gonna like have a wedding or something? So probably. So that'll be another thing that I hope to kind of incorporate into my podcast as we go forward, which is like wedding planning stuff. Cause yeah, it's pretty daunting just thinking about it. So I think that would be kind of fun to share some of my experiences with that. If you guys really kind of don't care, I can make a separate series. I don't know, I think it would be really fun to document that, because I know it's going to be crazy and weird and overwhelming at the same time. Then that whole Trump thing happened. we won't talk about that because Jesus Christ. But otherwise, it's been a really weird kind of mental health month. There's been a lot of ups and downs and weird stuff happening, and most of that is because the weather is kind of turning into winter. We had some really weird days this month where it was actually like as warm as it would be in the summer, which is not cool in November, especially when you live in one of the most northern capital cities, so it's kind of weird. But it snowed a little bit yesterday. There's not enough on the ground. I know southern Alberta and Calgary and all those places got it a lot worse. We still haven't been hit yet, so I'm still okay not wearing socks and boots. I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. When it comes to the knitting stuff, I've been finding myself really unsettled lately, and I don't know if that's just because of like the mental health stuff that I've kind of needed to take care of, or just feeling really unsettled as like a human being. I've got something in my throat. Huh. Yeah, I've been really unsettled. I've tried doing the sock thing. So I put adventures in socks because once again I am fighting with the idea of knitting socks and not having a good time with it. I did cast on a pair of monkey socks. I didn't like the yarn choice for it, so I basically ripped it out. I have a skein of Jess from Haven Yarn, or Haven Fiber Arts, because she changed it, which of course is a gigantic mess. I swear to God, there needs to be like a masterclass in winding cakes without them falling apart, because I would take that class. I am so bad at this. But I had a skein of the Book Boyfriend, and I've always wanted to make a pair of socks with this because I think that it's wonderful. So I cast on a pair of monkey socks, which is a Cookie A pattern, and it was too busy, just way, way, way too busy. So I frogged them, and I posted a picture on Instagram. I was like, is this okay for the pattern? And essentially 5 minutes after that post was already like posted, and people were only just starting to say, well, it could be okay, or you know, sometimes really busy yarns works in this pattern. I had already frogged it. So this is the Book Boyfriend colorway. It's wonderful. After that, I tried to do a pair of Rose City rollers in it, and I got as far as the heel flap, and I'm gonna be ripping this out too. I'm not settled. My knitting is not settled. So the little projects that I kind of wanted to have on the needles as work projects, or in between meeting projects or team meeting projects, they're not making me happy. They're not exciting me. They're not giving me that like feeling of excitement. So with this yarn, it does pool in like really weird ways. Not bad weird, but my gauge is weird. So I don't know if that makes any sense. It's such a wonderful colorway, but I'm just not sure how to actually put it into practice, into a place where I kind of am stoked on it. So I do want to make another pair of socks. Pattern socks right now are kind of the ones that I'm thinking of doing, because at least then there's something for me to do when I'm knitting them. So I tried to do a Rose City roller. I'm not feeling it, so I'm probably gonna frog this again. And yeah, that's been my adventures in sock knitting. Casting something on, ripping it out, casting something else on, ripping it out. I still have these that haven't been touched since probably 6 months ago, if not more. It was my first toe-up sock. I don't like them. I don't like these needles either. These are the Addi Turbos. I hate the cords on them. I'm really not a huge fan of these needles, although since they've been sitting out so long, maybe the cords will have relaxed a little bit. I'm not sure. I use my Haya Haya interchangeable set. I like the cords on them. They're really pliable and nice to work with. So just for comparison, these are, whatever. These are the Haya Hayas, nice and soft. They're also a lot thinner. And then with the Addis, they're actually quite thick and have a lot of resistance to them. So I have a pile of stuff that needs to be frogged. These have been in that pile for a while. Not looking forward to having to do it, so they've just been sitting here. And this is a colorway, I can't remember what it's called. I want to say Neon Pixie, but this is from Kaleidoscope Alley's shop, and I really like it. So yeah, this sock knitting thing just hasn't been happening for me lately. So let's go onwards to shawls, because I started a new project since the last time we had podcasted as well. The one that has been on the needles for the longest time is the Thalia shawl by Andrea Mowry. And I am like 5 rows away from being done the chevron section, which is so nice. Oh, and of course, I forgot that I did this. Hold on, I started a row yesterday. Like literally just three stitches in. So I'm just gonna push those back onto the needles. I forgot this. I don't know why I started it and only knit 3 stitches and then was like, that's good enough. Okay. So here is, I think that my stitch marker is where I was when we last talked about this together. But don't quote me on that, because I think I might have just put it on arbitrarily. So here is my Thalia shawl so far. So there's the chevron section. It literally goes on forever. I'm almost done it, so I'm really happy. I really like how the colors in this variegate. I think it's so pretty. It reminds me of clouds. The yarn that I'm using is the Ancient Arts Passion 8, and this is in the Russian blue. No. Hi, baby. This is in, oh gosh. No, the Russian blue is the other color. Oh, I can't remember what this one's called. But anyways, I'm almost done the chevron section. The next section that I am doing, I think, is Broken Stockinette, which I've never done before. So yeah, I'm trucking along on this. I really like the texture of the twisted stitches. I think it's so pretty. And yeah, I love the texture of this shawl. So I'm very excited to have this almost, I don't want to say complete because it's not, but it's on the way to being complete, and I know that I will wear the heck out of this when it's done. And also it's gonna be huge. I'm really excited about that too, because as you know, I really like massive shawls, so pretty excited about this. It's coming along nicely. Fairly minimal mistakes, and yeah. And now my cat's rummaging around on my desk. The other thing that I have been working on is new. I haven't shown this yet. Okay, Stella, no. You gotta come back here. Come here. My desk is a mess on that side, and she's precariously just like hanging out on the places where she can knock things over. Go in the box. So I finally started my Parker Street shawl, which is a pattern by Sylvia from Soft Sweater Knits. And I binge watched The Crown. So this would have been the first weekend of November, on like November 4th and 5th. I wasn't feeling well, so I took a day off work and basically knit that whole weekend while I was watching The Crown. And then I basically stopped knitting it because I was really concerned for some stupid reason. Oh, no. We don't do that. Get that out of your mouth. Stella. Stop being so mischievous. Yeah, so I basically knit, got up to the end of the second chart. There's 3 charts. And then got really scared that I ran out of yarn, never touched it, and then yesterday, so 2 weeks after, realized that I did have a 3rd skein and that I should be fine, so I started knitting on it again. So it's got a lot, it's really dark. Let me just boop. Boop. It's got a lot of texture in it. It's going to be really hard to show because of the texture. But I'm knitting this with Sweet Fibers Canadian yarn in the Mountaintop colorway. So I believe, if I remember from Knit City, this was the one that was undyed. So I don't think this is colored, like this is just undyed wool. So here's my shawl. And this one was hard for me to get going on. I had frogged it 3 times when I first started because for some reason my brain just wasn't working. It was probably because I was actually sick and I didn't have the mental capacity to do anything, so of course starting a knitting project is maybe not the best idea for a sick day. But once I finally got going on it, and I remembered that there is actually pattern work on the wrong side, so there's a couple places in the very beginning where I did it backwards because I forget when you're doing chart work and you're looking at the chart, sometimes I forget that you have to go from right to left and then left to right on the wrong side. So I was doing right to left, right to left, right to left, and then when I was like, wait, this isn't right, I just decided to keep going and not worry about it. But I've never had to do following charts while there's pattern work on the wrong side. So this just was a good reminder to actually do it properly instead of taking the wrong side for granted. So yeah, this is my Parker Street. I just started the second repeat of the second chart and I hope to get this one done pretty soon. It's becoming winter outside, like I kind of mentioned, and we finally kind of started going below 0 in the temperatures. So this would be really, really nice to wear to keep me warm. Sorry about my voice, it's just not working today. So yeah, Parker Street. And the yarn that I'm using, super rustic and wonderful. Yeah. So there's that one. And then of course, the saga that continues is my pine bough cowl. Oh, I wanted to say before I go on to that, I was watching the latest episode of the Wet Coast Wools podcast with Bernadette and Glenda, and it was really exciting seeing Sylvia on it. So if you love her just as much as I do and you think she's a wonderful person, you should definitely check out their latest podcast episode because she's a guest on their podcast. So, yay. It was really good. But yeah, onward to the pine bough cowl, the saga that just never ends. So I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really touched this very much since the last time we podcast. There's my progress from the last 3 weeks. It's I don't want to say a slog because I hate using that word to describe knitting projects, but it's a saga, and honest to God, when this is done, I am going to light fireworks and fire off confetti cannons in the street because this is just a really time-consuming knit. I wanted it to be done this year. I might be done this year if I actually like sit down and keep working on it. But the problem with a lot of the knitting projects that I have is I'm just kind of not, I don't want to say I'm not into them, but I'm kind of not into them. My Thalia shawl is really easy right now because you're used to the pattern, but the pattern itself is only written, and for me, I lose my place a lot when I'm knitting from written charts or from written patterns. So with the Thalia shawl, I have to actually pay attention, or am less able to engage in conversation or take it somewhere to go, and that kind of makes me not want to knit it as much, just because sometimes I do want those mindless knits. And my cat just decided to go up to the bookcase. So if you heard that, that was just her leaping. Yeah, my Thalia shawl it's not portable knitting, and it's not something that I can be doing while I'm supposed to be paying attention to something else. Well, it kind of is, but at the same time, I will make one little mistake and then have to go all the way back, so it's not as just like green light go knitting. My Parker Street is kind of the same. It's also very big and bulky, so it's not an easily portable knit. This guy is getting too big for the bag that I have it in, which is my Nekozuki Knits cat bag. So it's almost too big for this bag, and I've got quite a bit left. So I'm finding that the projects that I am working on are mostly just like, they are grounded knits. I can only work on them at home. The easiest pattern that I have to work with is this, and like, I've had it at social gatherings, I've knit on this in bars. This is like my portable knit because it's super easy. There's no lace work. The iPad that I use for my patterns, it highlights all of the rows, so like this is like the most forgiving knit that I have going right now. And it's just really, really time consuming, and it's taking a lot longer than I wanted it to. I did look yesterday, I had a crafternoon with a couple of my friends. I did look on my project page on Ravelry, and I did start it on May 30th. So I thought I started it much earlier than that. So I guess that's a plus. But yeah, it's slow going. So I finished on this side here, this row. This one starts up here. Then once you get to this is my fuck it, it's fine row, that's too long. But once you get to the stripe section here, there's just one more section of this, and then it gets Kitchenered together as with the provisional cast on. So it's coming, but I haven't wanted to work on it very much. As you can see, my progress has been nominal. And yeah, just a reminder that I do have a promotion code for my Progress Keeper, which is from Sucre Miniatures. So if you've never purchased from her and you'd like 15% off your first order, you can check out my Ravelry group. There is a thread there with my referral code. If you have purchased from her before and you'd like 15% off anyways, I also have a coupon code that you can get as well from the Ravelry group. So just a reminder that that is still ongoing. I received a shipping notification from Chelsea that my new charms should be on the way soon, so I'm really excited to have some new ones in my arsenal to put on other projects, because this one is not going anywhere anytime soon, and neither will this one, which is my other charm from her, my little piece of cake. So I'll have a couple more to put on other projects to keep me going. What else? I want to start a new hat. I really like the idea of hat knitting lately, so I think I'm going to cast on a hat. There's one pattern that I've wanted to do. I can't remember what it's called, but it's also an Andrea Mowry pattern, and it's a cabled hat. So I think I might cast that on just to keep me interested. And having little projects where you can actually finish things instead of knitting on the same thing for months. It's really nice. As a shawl knitter, sometimes you just don't get that gratification of finishing things, so hats, good for that kind of thing. Should probably start one. Good idea, Sarah. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, I found my poncho pattern. So this is a poncho pattern that I purchased at Knit City last year in 2015. From the 3 Bags Full shop. Couldn't find it for the longest time. Freaked out, thought I left it in Vancouver at the hostel I was staying at. Was so confused, where is this pattern? I don't understand where it could have been. Did I lose it in the move? No, I didn't lose it in the move because I moved before Knit City, so where the hell is this pattern? Turns out, it was in a binder called Knitting Patterns. Who would have thunk, right? So good news is I found it. I also found the pattern, and then I've had the poncho that I was knitting just laying around for like the last year. My gauge is off, so you're supposed to get 20 stitches over 4 inches, and I had 22. I had 22, so I ripped the whole thing out. That was another thing that I did yesterday. I finally frogged it. So I ripped it out, and I'm gonna go up a needle size and then knit it again. However, my 4.5mm needles are on my Thalia shawl. So this would be a really awesome knit for when I needed to go places, considering it's literally just stockinette. It's a rectangle, so really there's no complicated anything in it. I just don't know if I have 4.5mm needles that aren't being used right now. So that's the thing holding me back from this. But this is the yarn that I was using for it. And this is Rowan Felted Tweed in the mineral colorway. So it shows up different if you pull it up close, but it's got some blue tweedy bits in there. And it's kind of like a mustard yellow. So I kind of want to knit this, but at the same time, I feel like this is an autumn knit. I don't know. I'm literally so unsettled with my knitting that I just don't know what I want to do. So I'm not doing anything. But anyways, this has been frogged. These guys behind. Oh, I guess I could show those because they're nicer. So yeah, this is the yarn that I picked for it. I might be wrong about the colorway because it's just a number, but if you look online, I'm pretty sure it's mineral. What else? I think that's mostly it. I do want to start another thing. I just want to cast on all the things, but I don't actually want to knit them. I would really like to make a Pure Joy, and I'm not sure if I can do it with just this amount of yarn. So I am just trying to stash bust as much as possible. This is a skein of Mad Tosh in, I believe, the Modern Fair Isle colorway. I have one skein of this, and then this is Mad Tosh in the Cousteau colorway. And I want to put them together into a Pure Joy. So I guess my question to you guys, it's a fairly popular pattern. I did go through some of the project pages on Ravelry. A lot of people don't put the quantities of yarn that they use in them though, so that's kind of a problem. If you've knit one before, have you been able to do it with 2 single skeins? That's kind of my question. Mad Tosh skeins are, I believe, 424 yards. I might be wrong. Have you been able to do it? Another thing that I could do is go down a needle size and make it slightly smaller. Or I can get another skein of this. I'd prefer not to, because I'd like to use these two. But if you've been able to knit a Pure Joy with 2 skeins of yarn, let me know, because this is the ultimate plan for this. Stella? She's trying to put her head in a box that's very small. Just living the life, that cat. So yeah, if you've been able to do it, let me know, because that'll be a lot more reassuring for me when it comes to doing this actual project that I would like to do. Another thing that I was going to talk about was the Ask Me Anything thread. I did get a question from Lindsay about E6000. Now, I do not know a lot about glues in particular. I haven't done a lot of research. I just use them and kind of whatever afterwards. But I do talk a lot about E6000. And this is what E6000 is. So it's glue. It's a non-flammable industrial strength adhesive, and I basically use it on a lot of craft things. It is probably not very good for certain surfaces. I was going to do some research before this, but then decided not to. I kind of read about it a week and a half ago. But usually non-porous surfaces will work better. What have I used it for? Stitch markers, gluing stuff together. I'm honestly the worst. So this is what it looks like. It's just glue that I picked up at, like, I think you can get it at Michael's, you can get it at the Home Depot. If I'm doing little projects with like little pieces of wood, I'll use this. It's probably got a certain like preference for use, but I'm not sure of that offhand. I'll probably put this in show notes, and I'm actually planning on doing show notes this time. But I'll put some information about like the best ways to use it. I just kind of use it to affix things to other things, which is really dumb to say because it's glue and that's kind of what you do with it anyways. But yeah, little tiny craft projects that just require some sort of some sort of adhesive. I just go with that one first. Crazy Glue also works. Guys, this is the worst explanation of E6000 I've ever imagined I could do. So it's just craft glue. I will post in the Ask Me Anything thread more information about this. If you have any other questions and you have confidence in my ability to answer them, there is a thread on my Ravelry group for asking questions. So yeah, I did a really subpar job of explaining that, but I didn't prep. I'm sorry. I just, yeah, I use it to glue stuff together. Another thing that I will kind of talk about briefly is stash enhancement. I've been trying really hard not to buy anything. My family and my in-laws are doing a Secret Santa. Instead of buying for everybody, we just draw names and purchase for one person. And at this point, I really honestly just want to be like, to my Secret Santa gifters, just literally give me money to pay a bill on my credit card, because I am really bad for just picking stuff up that I'm interested in getting, and the last couple months have just been no exception. So we were at a craft show, not last week, I don't think it was last weekend, I think it was the weekend before. They had the Curated Market in Edmonton, and another one of the local dyers that I am pretty excited about is Allison Barnes. She had a booth at the Curated Market, and I picked up a few skeins of her yarn. As I was leaving, Ross, my fiance, was like, can you pick me up some soap? And he was being really like condescending about it, because I think he associates markets with soap, which he's not wrong about. I'm like, what kind of soap do you want? He's like, man soap. So there was a booth there that was selling pumpkin spice soap, so I picked him up some of that, and I thought it was really funny. But we've been going to Starbucks and he's been ordering pumpkin spice lattes, so I was just like, I have to. So I also picked up soap then too. But I picked up 3 skeins of her yarn, and they're all fingering sock weight. Or so they're all sock yarns and fingering. Superwash merino, 80% and 20% nylon. So they're all the same base, but they're all different colors. So this is very similar to my Cousteau from Mad Tosh, but this one is called Spruce Tree, and I love it. It's kind of hard to pick up, but I picked up this one. I also picked up the one that she posted on Instagram with her gray, and I was gonna totally get the gray and chartreuse combo, but I ended up liking these two together a lot better. This one's chartreuse. It's really kind of looking quite fluorescent in the camera, but it's not as fluorescent when you're actually like looking at it. I think the lights are just making it yell instead of just softly. I don't know where I'm going with this. And the last colorway that I picked up is called Raspberry Cheesecake. So I think it's really pretty. I'm all about the pinks right now. All about the pinks. So I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this one. I was entertaining the idea of doing a pair of monkey socks with these. So the sock and then the toes and the heels. But Charlotte from the Charlotte and Gus podcast has a pair of socks, Gazebra socks, that my sister-in-law is actually test knitting. And I really like them. They're super cool socks. They've got a little bit of a lace pattern on the top, and then they're color blocked at the bottom. So I'm also kind of thinking when that pattern comes out, I'm gonna get it and then do these two. Either way, I think these are gonna be destined for socks. If I can ever get around to knitting them. So other than that, I didn't really pick up anything else craft-wise. Oh, I did actually, hold on. So I was at Michael's, and since finishing my garter stitch blanket, I've been really kind of craving a super chunky cabled blanket for our bed. And they have their Biggie yarn, which is quite big and chunky. So I was like, ooh, I should get this, and it was on sale at the time. And then I realized that one of these, it's too bright, let's fix that. One of these is 21 yards. So if I wanted to make a blanket, I would probably need like 40 of these, and that's really expensive. So especially because we have a king size bed and I want like the Pinterest throw over blanket that I love so much. So it really would not be worth it. So instead, I want to make cat cocoons. Just little tiny like baskets almost, so that they can kind of sleep in them. So I was gonna hold these double and just make something really, really thick. But I haven't figured out the logistics of that yet. And I'm not interested in doing the math or anything really. So these are just kind of sitting around. I'm either gonna do that or I'm gonna make like a little tiny blanket for them that they can sleep on. I haven't decided yet, but it's something that's kind of going around in my mind. So that's probably gonna be something that I'll do over Christmas break. I don't really have anything else to talk about knitting wise. It's kind of it. So I don't really have anything else to talk about otherwise either. I'm going to be going to Kelowna for Christmas to visit my in-laws this year. I'm not excited about the fact that we have to drive because it's through the mountains, and I'm hoping that the weather holds up, but that could be a little bit stressful for me. But I am pretty excited about the fact that I get vacation time from work. So I'm gonna be taking a week off from work that's like paid, so I don't have to worry about it. But then the week after that, which is the first week of January, I'm gonna be taking that off just because. I'm a homebody and I like being at home, and the week that I get paid off, paid from the university, my goodness, paid from the agency, I won't be here. So I kind of wanted to take a little bit of extra time and just kind of have some time at home to reorganize and get settled and ready for the year coming up. Ow. Can you not? So yeah, I'm kind of planning a little bit of crafting for that time. I've been doing a lot of cleaning at home as well. I think some of the pictures that I've posted to Instagram have just kind of shown that I'm really hell-bent on organizing things right now and purging stuff that I don't care about. My office space is kind of one of those places that I haven't really started yet on, but I would like to. Most of it's organized. There's just like containers and hampers full of stuff that I don't know what to do with on the floor that you can't see. So I'm ready for 2016 to be over. I'm ready to kind of start some new stuff. I'm ready to start planning a wedding. I'm just kind of ready to do some extra stuff that I've been either not able to start doing or was kind of not ready to yet. I want to start exercising again because I know with depression and anxiety you gotta do that, and a lot of the reasons why I don't do it is because of my depression and anxiety, so it's been a little bit of a catch-22 lately. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to talk about. I'm kind of all over the place and I'm kind of not full of a lot of useful information today. So I think I'm just gonna cut it here. It's a nice short episode for you guys. I'm gonna try and do a little bit more regular podcasting right now. I'm also gonna try and write notes throughout the weeks when I'm not podcasting so that I have a more organized mindset when I'm in here. But yeah, I think it's time to stop rambling and sign off for today. So Stella's gonna settle down for a nap and I'll settle in to edit this, and then I will have it uploaded later today. So I hope you guys are doing good. I hope your days are going great. Hope your crafting is good. I'm just gonna sign off because clearly nothing is working for me today, brain-wise. So have a good 2 weeks. I will talk to you again soon. I'm gonna do show notes. They're gonna be really simple because a lot of the stuff is things that I've already talked about. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you again later. Bye!